Welcome to a very special episode of Growing Your Business Through Referrals, sponsored by Bucket List Coach Web Show Live. Well, hello. This is Cindy Lee, your host at Growing Your Business Through Referrals. And a little bit about the podcast. This podcast is actually through my upcoming book where I actually teach you how to use National Day Calendar holidays to leverage your business and pay it forward to others. And also some really great tips on podcasting and pay it forward and how you can give the ultimate referral and pay it forward for other businesses. And today, Rosie, Love is Kind Network. Wow, we've known each other since about 2010, 11. It's been a minute.
Yes, it's been definitely, and it's been great. I remember it.
So let's get right into it. I'm going to open up the page really quickly.
Yeah.
A big shout out to our friends over at National Day Calendar. I'm actually a celebration ambassador, and I have my own national holidays as well. National Bucket List Day, April 24th, and coming up on the 9th is California Bucket List Day. But let's go into National Love is Kind Day. What's the story behind it? And let's get people more excited about spreading kindness to others.
Oh, well, that's me, right? I'm start.
Yes, that's definitely
Yes.
you.
This is, yeah, you're just flashing a little bit of from the official page. So that's really good for people who are viewing this. Um, it's really an interesting story. So what in 2009, so it's been a while, but in 2009, my daughter and I were living in the Middle East, in Lebanon to be exact. And she came charging up to me one day up the stairs. She had just come from the university and said, "Mom, you got to get me away from my abusive father." And I had been married by that time 25 years in an abusive relationship, but it took me
Wow.
18 years before I even knew I was in one. I didn't I had I just thought I wasn't doing it right. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't this enough. And no matter what I did, even though prior to that I had been a rising star in corporate finance in Silicon Valley with an MBA, so it doesn't really matter, your background, how smart you are, your education, doesn't matter. This is pervasive worldwide. And so when my daughter came running up to me, and it's just like, oh, well, okay. And in 4 months, I created, engineered the escape of our lives from the Middle East to the United States. And on July 27th, that's the date we put our feet on the ground. It was July 27th, 2009. That's how long it's been. I just can't even believe it. Seems like yesterday in some cases. In some ways, I've grown so much. And that's why we chose that day. It's July 27th. So it's National Love is Kind Day is multifactorial. It's one is to declare our freedom from abuse.
Hmm.
It's to help women who are not there yet to, to know that they can become free from abuse, that it's our right to be treated with respect, dignity, and kindness. And it starts, so all of that is behind that movement. And when, now this wasn't quite immediately after we landed, we had PTSD, we had so
Yeah.
much trauma, both of us. My daughter had complex PTSD. But I'll tell you, Cindy, after being mistreated for decades and decades, he would sometimes sit me down and he would pace in front of me, screaming me at 150 decibels of all the things that I did wrong. And you hear that over and over and over for years. You start to create a new belief system because you have nobody else to bounce that idea off of. Well, he's been doing this to me. I had nobody. I was so isolated. And after that treatment, by the time I started to realize who I was, after a few years, it's like, I was just craving to be treated with kindness. It was so lacking in my relationship. And I know so many women have experienced that.
Hmm.
And we were working with a coach. My daughter and I started the Love is Kind network together, and we started all these movements, the Love is Kind movement, and then the Love is Kind day. And it was my daughter who spearheaded the whole thing. The coach had told us, "Oh, you can get a Love is Kind day for your city." It's like my daughter thought, "Well, why should I do the
Oh
city
yeah,
when I could go national?"
100%. Yeah.
And that's how it all just kind of grew and grew. And we're on a mission. That was our mission, is to inspire and impact 100 million women and their children to release the shackles of abuse, to realize that they have the right to be treated with kindness, and that they can create a productive and joyful life and find the kind love of their life like I have. And as you know, life is a journey, and it's not just about declaring these things and like magic it's going to happen. We have to put the work in, and now this is my legacy, my mission to help other women shift from that point of view. I don't help women escape. I know lots of people have asked me that, but I don't do that. I work with women who are already out and ready to move forward. But there are there are over about 2.5 billion women,
Oh my Lord.
2.5 billion women with their children who experience some form of abuse today. It's not like we're talking about some small thing here. This is huge. This is really huge. There's my daughter Sunny. We'll talk about her later. But if you add up the wars and the sicknesses and say there's nothing as more pervasive worldwide than domestic violence. Now, I want to share something that's really important. There are a lot of groups on Facebook, down with the narcissistic man, being against domestic violence. Um, are you with your narc? There are all these groups, and they're big and they're thriving, and good for them to support women who are in that group and who need that. Mine is different, and I chose it on purpose. To me, words matter. Words matter because I lived it. I lived being in an abusive relationship where I was insulted and put down with, "You're stupid. You're not enough. Why are you doing it this way? You don't know how to do anything. Stop doing that." He screamed at me because I cut the friggin' watermelon wrong, right? So it's just like you're just cut down to the core every single time. So words matter. And for me, it wasn't healthy for my psyche to say, "Oh, I'm going to create a group. Let's end domestic violence." That is my mission, but it's not the words. And the words are, what do you want? What do you want in life? Where do you want to go? How do you want to be? How do you want to show up? And for me, I want to be treated with kindness. And for me, love, and a lot of women, maybe you can relate to this too, is love can be really triggering for those who've been abused. "Oh, well, I hit you because I love you. You know,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I screamed at you because you made me mad, but I love you. So, let's go make love right." Make love. That would hardly be a word for that, but "Oh, let's go jump in the bed right now." So it was the word love was really abused. So I had to connect it with something that was good. Kind love. Love is kind. What do we want? We want love that is kind. That's right. And my husband and I do this all the time to each other. He'll be sitting at his desk and I'll go like that, and he'll match it with his fingers. And that is what we want to look for. We don't want to keep living in the past. That was our past. We do have to deal with it. If you're still in it or you just recently out, get professional help with a therapist or counselor. Get that help. if you've been out and you want to move forward, that's when you connect to me, somebody like me who will help you continue to move forward in your life. And that's what I am. I'm the move forward girl.
Yeah, well, the key is not to let it define you, because I've had some abusive relationships in the past. And so you just have to train your subconscious mind on what you want, the types of people, like relationship wise and business wise and
That's
friends
right.
wise, the types of people that you want to surround yourself with. So you want to celebrate others, you don't want to have to tolerate them. So it's super important. And as we're getting older, I'm going to be 61 coming up on Wednesday, and I'm actually making my circle very small. It's all
It's
about the kindness, being kind to another. If they're not kind, then they can't be in your circle.
absolutely. And I'm glad you brought this up because this is not about, not solely, at the basis it is, but I expand it into, it's not just about intimate relationships, right?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
with any relationship. You can be mistreated and abused by, a friend. I've had clients who I've had to deal with, because they had an issue with their friend who was not treating them nice. And but then a really common behavior that women do, or people who are abused do, is they make excuses for the behavior, right? And now you and I both knows that we don't make excuses for any bad behavior. Forget it, right? We don't tolerate that. That's a healthy boundary that we have set, which is a way of being kind to yourself. Setting boundaries is a way to be kind to yourself. And a lot of people can't do that. They can't set it. They people please, right? So getting back to others, you can have your friend, you can have a teacher, you can have a minister, it could be your doctor, your lawyer, a politician. They're everywhere. And you need to set your values, what's important to you, like you have done, you just stated. Okay, what's important to me? Well, I can't change anybody, and I don't have to tolerate that behavior.
No.
But so what do? I have choices. I can tell them, set boundaries, and they can accept it, and then and they change. Or if they don't, then I can make the decision to leave that relationship. Because if you're not kind to yourself, Cindy, you cannot function. You
Hmm.
cannot show up in life. And you have this life. You're in charge of you. You have this life to live. How do you want to live it? Do you want to live it being oppressed and suppressed and feel like the only way people are going to like you is to people please?
No.
Well,
No people pleasing.
no people pleasing. And what's interesting about that concept is um, people pleasing is really lying. It's just straight out lying. You're lying to others about who you really are. So you're lying to yourself about who you really are, and you're lying to others. You'll think, oh, well, this is so and she just says yes every time I ask her something. She's
Yeah,
just
the
excusing
value of learning when to say no. That's
herself.
another thing we really need to work on. Especially as we get older, because I'm the person who can't say no, but I'm learning that I have to say no.
And again, saying no doesn't mean you're a bad person,
Hmm.
right? It's dealing with, oh, if I say no, then because this is how people think. Oh, I must not, I'm not nice. I want to be liked. These are the subconscious thoughts. And so the only way I can be liked is to say yes. But what happens when you say yes when you don't want to say yes? You feel resentment. Like deep down, it starts to build and build and build. And so this all comes back to the first person you need to be kind to is yourself.
Yourself. Yes.
And when you show up, and this took me a while, I mean, like a long time to figure this all out. And I remember when I first came, it's like everyone kept telling me, oh, yeah, I go to these personal development uh, conferences, be your authentic self. I didn't even know what that word meant. I mean, I knew what it literally meant, but I didn't know what does it mean to be your authentic self. I mean, it was so far from it until I realized, oh, that means I can say stop doing that, and he's not going to, scream or pounce on me. And that means when I can say that to somebody and they don't do that, and they go, oh, I'm sorry, then that's a healthy, at least a sign of a healthy part of a relationship, right?
Yes.
And saying no is really saying yes to you. You're saying, yes, this is what's making me feel healthy. This is what I can stand up to and do. And I can say, it doesn't work for me now, perhaps later. These are other ways to just, instead of a blanket no, it depends on the situation. But knowing the signs of abuse, knowing the signs of what kind love looks like is so important. And if you don't know what they are, you're saying yes to something that you don't maybe realize is unhealthy, and it can be very dangerous.
Well, a big thing is also boundaries. So, in business relationships and personal relationships, let's talk about how important that is to set those boundaries. Because you tell people boundaries, and sometimes they don't care. They still constantly are, going over those boundaries.
Now, boundaries, we need to understand, means not setting up some wall that people can't penetrate. What it means is that you are teaching others how you want to be treated. So it
Yeah.
puts you in the seat. You're driving, and this is how, somebody goes over the line. It's like, whoa, you're in my lane and you're gonna bump me, and that's not gonna be good. When you set a
Yeah.
healthy boundary, you honk your horn or whatever, and make the person wake up. But setting a healthy boundary is so that you don't end up people pleasing. You're honoring yourself. I want people to think more of, I'm not setting boundaries, but I'm creating something that's going to honor me so I can show up and be myself and not have to crunch down and just take things that remember we're talking about the word tolerate. Yeah. We don't need to tolerate abuse. We don't need to tolerate somebody putting us down. We don't need to tolerate anything that makes us feel uncomfortable, whatever it is. Oh, you're too sensitive. Oh, why is your hair that way? Why do you dress that way? That doesn't look good. Well, I don't want to be somebody to keep putting me down. I don't care who it is. And we have levels. We got our families, right? I didn't even mention them, right?
Yes.
Like in our case, we didn't have a healthy family member. My ex-husband and my daughter's father was not healthy for us. Took us a long time. There were a lot of circumstances that didn't allow us to leave. The main one for me, for me was in the Middle East. You cannot the custody of a child automatically goes to the father after the age of 7, before the age of 18. So I knew I wanted to leave. I knew I couldn't stay in that relationship forever, but never in a million years would I ever leave without my daughter. So I made the conscious decision to stay until she became major. And and then I waited, and we talked about it. So she was in the university, but when she came to me that day, that was it. I knew she had passed. She was over 20 by then, almost just short of 21. And when we did the escape, and I just had to do that. And there are many women who were in that case. They can't leave. It's very tough for them to leave because
Or
no
they're
one supports
scared.
them.
Yeah. There's
Well,
threats.
they're all scared. I'm gonna bet that most of them are scared. I was terrified. Even the day we were planning the escape, I mean the day we were leaving, I mean up the whole time, as I was planning this escape, on a scale of 1 to 10, I was probably my stress level was like 110.
Well, how about the family? Were they watching what you're doing during the
I
escape? Or
Nobody knew. Oh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you who knew. So I had read a book after I was married 18 years, and before I discovered a book called The Verbally Abusive Relationship by Patricia Evans. She and I became friends. She passed away a couple years ago now. But I spoke at her events. I supported her, and she supported me. And that was a book that was like my autobiography. It's like, oh my God, this is what I'm living. So when I read that book after 18 years, I told my brother and my two best friends in the United States. Nobody knew how I was living, what I was going through until then. 18 years
Oh my God.
Shame was holding me prison. I could have had more support. I don't know how I would have left. Maybe they would have helped me figure out a reason. I don't, a legal way. I but shame just was strangulating me. So I never told them. And then because my daughter was still underage, right? She wasn't 18 at that time. I waited and until I felt that I could do it. And she was the impetus. Again, if she said, "No, mom, I don't want to ever leave. I'm okay," I would have never left.
Oh my God. Wow.
And um, what's interesting, she and I started a memoir called 11 Hours to Freedom. And it wasn't until then that we discovered how we were both staying alive because of the other, that we both were on the suicide track because it was so intolerable. And she told me, she says, "Yeah, I wanted to kill myself. But then again, I didn't want my mom to be alone with my dad." And I told her, "Oh my God, I felt the same way. I would have so many times I just thought I can't handle it anymore. I just can't handle it. I want to just throw myself out the car," which was
Oh
something that
my
was
God.
I almost did. And it's like, oh my God, but then she'll be alone with him. That would be the worst thing ever. So unknown to both of us, we were keeping each other alive and supporting each other, you know, on this quiet way of not killing ourselves. It sounds sad, but it's you get desperate. You don't know a way out. And now I know there's always a way out. And the biggest one is to get support. Now some women are worse situations than I was where they're they're tracked. Their husbands, track their what's on their phone, it's on their computer. You got to learn how to do that. My
Oh yeah,
husband
turn your notifications off, ladies. I have
so
some ladies who have dealt with that too.
right. So there's all these ways. And my heart goes out to women who are still in these situations and they don't know how to get out because of that. All keep saying is like, try to go to a friend if you can. A lot of times they don't let you leave the house. He, I had a hard time leaving the house. He would track me down. The crazy stories where he would, one time I was, oh, I was in Lebanon, so I went to church and I went by myself. My daughter didn't want to go. She was a teenager and I'm like, I don't want to do that. You know how teenagers are. So, okay, I'll just go. And so, but I turned off my phone, right? Because at that time we did have cell phones. And and then I went to a grocery store afterwards. The I don't know how he knew. Maybe he guessed, maybe he remembered, maybe I said something, whatever. But I'm walking down the aisle pushing the cart and somebody comes up to me and who works there and he has a phone in his hand. He says, "Are you so and so?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Your husband's on the phone." He tracked me down and called the store to find where I was,
Wow.
screamed at me, "Why did you turn your phone off? Why this? Why that?" And I'm trying to hold my composure in the middle of the store. And people just we end up doing this thing. But again, what I want to share is that I'm now leading going forward and not living in my past. I did um, my trauma therapy work. I was fortunate to be able to do that. There's still trauma that keeps popping up every now and then. It just doesn't last as long, but I can still hear his voice when I'll do something. The other day, I was drying my hair. Okay, so drying your hair, you go, how does that relate to being abused? Well, he would get on my case if the cord got all twisted and turned. Have you ever done that where you're on you use your hair dryer and it gets tight. And so I just noticed it. And I go, oh, I got to unwind it. But in that split second, I could hear his critical voice about me and the cord. Now, if I had just arrived in the United States after the escape, I would have been on my back for a week because I would have been so traumatized. But now it's barely a split second of a thought and no emotional impact because I've healed from that. I want women to know they don't have to tolerate this. I want them to know that they are enough, that they can lead their lives. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying there's any quick fix, but I am saying that it is possible. And this precious life of ours, when, like, when you're going to start, you're going to have, we have to push through the fear. We just go through the fear. We don't really push, we can't push the fear away. We just taking one step after the other, just going through this. I remember my therapist telling me, and it was a huge eye opener. I thought, oh, I go to therapy, and then all of a sudden I'm really healed, and then I can go live my life. I really thought that way, and she said, no, you live your life while you're going through therapy. You live your life while you're healing. I'm going, oh, really? And I wasn't sure exactly what that meant, but you just do, right? You live your life while you're still going through these traumatic events. And and I met somebody, and I made friends with somebody, and I started, this business here and that business there, and I just like, and then here I am. So it worked. It worked. This whole thing, this whole concept that, oh, everything has to be perfect before we take the next step. Well, we know where that would be. We would still be living in the past, wondering why, and living in victim mode, which we can talk about as well.
Well, a little my story from a previous person I dated. He had an issue with his heart, so he ended up relying on Norco, for the pain. And yeah, so I have to deal with that. And I never got hit, but I got thrown to the curb one time. And all after all these years, was it 2008 or nine? Finally, my toe is healed because the nail was actually broke for many many years. And I'll just never forget when I was getting out of the car and literally he just pushed me and my whole entire body went to the curb and then he took off. So it's, but with my situation, he said our relationship has run its course. I'm like, yes, 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 because I could not get myself to leave him because I wanted to be able to fix him. Because I know
Right.
if he maybe if he got the right treatment, but sadly a few years ago he did pass, and he wasn't on anything. He was clean, and his body just passed on transition because of what he was going through. So then a lot of people, they are dealing with something and they're on some kind of medicine, but in this situation it was a situation with the heart, and not everybody is like someone on the street that's using some kind of drug or anything
Mhm.
like that. It's something that happened, or if you get a knee surgery sometimes you'll get hooked on that type of stuff, but it's just so important to get help, and there's so much help out there. And let's talk about your daughter.
My daughter, as I said, she was, we co-founded National Love is Kind Day. She spearheaded the entire project.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, she just took it and ran with it. We started the Love is Kind Network. We started the Love is Kind movement on Facebook. And then she attended the live events. She was a speaker at those events, and we it was just amazing the work that she did. And she's the I would say, and you can just look at this picture here. She's the sparkly one. She's the creative one. I'm wearing, I usually like wear something plain. I've started to add a little bit more sparkle, but and this is her necklace. And I was just something that I always, admired in her. And she was a kick-ass coach. We would coach each other. She would
Wow.
coach me a lot, and I would coach her. She just had, she had a lot of really innate brilliance in her. And I would call her, well, you think I should do this? Yes, mom, do it. or, or whatever. Um, but sadly, my daughter passed away 4 years ago in June of 2022. And it has been a tough journey for me. One thing, because of the trauma that I had experienced before, I told myself that I don't know how I'm going to get through it, but I've been through pretty bad trauma before, and I'm going to be able to get through this. And so I've just now created a new, loving, kind relationship with my daughter. I call her now my kick ass angel. And she still gets me in line. And um, so that's the journey, it's a new journey I am on. But so thank you, Amrita. Appreciate that. Uh, and that's what happens. My brother kept telling me, life, is not a straight line, but it can keep going up, like the stock market. It goes up and down, but then it does keep going up. And we need to just focus on what matters to us. And this mission of helping women and children matters to me. I will be doing it until I'm not breathing. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
This is a legacy I'm carrying out for my
It's your
daughter.
legacy. Yes.
And my daughter and I also wrote the Love is Kind pledge. I don't know. I can put the link in, I don't know, in the chat there. Can I?
Yes,
Or,
and we could add it to the show notes, and we're also going to be doing some shorts over the next couple days. So
so I'll just,
this is the
you know,
long version, but we'll be doing shorts as well.
okay. So this is just here. I don't know. I'll just put it in the studio so you can figure out what to do. I'm not really good technically about
That's
this.
fine. We can just put in the show notes after we close out. No problem.
Okay. It'll go
Yeah.
in the show notes after we close out.
Okay, so a few more questions before we close out. We're going to go a little bit long today. And so I want to talk about how you celebrate every day and how you celebrate kindness, how we could all do that every day. So, because there's a day we're born, the day we pass away, that in between time is your dash. And, so many people are existing in their life. So let's talk about how we could live in kindness and celebrate every day.
Um, so one of the things that I do every day is, first of all, when we eat, especially for dinner, I will set the intention of how we show up, how we're going to live our lives, um, and when we declared our marriage, we said, and we love each other forever and ever. We didn't do until death do us part, because we know we're going to be living forever together. And what I one other thing is, we talked about it before, is these boundaries, right? The boundaries is what I'm big about, um, Cindy, is is really treating yourself with kindness and setting. When I had an opportunity to speak on another podcast, and I looked at her prior podcast, and it wasn't a fit. And I just said, thank you, but it's just not a fit for me. Now, would I like to be on a podcast? Do I like to, share this mission worldwide, like with you and I'm doing? Yes. But if it didn't feel right, I don't do it. So, how many times can you say yes to you? How many times, I journal. So, this is another thing. I journal to release whatever. I'll sit in the garden or walk in the garden or walk on the beach. I'm very conscious of my energy. So, I ask you that it's hard to be kind to others, truly kind, not people pleasing. Okay. We can say, oh, yes, let's do this. Oh, yes, let's buy somebody a cup of coffee. Those are okay. But the most transformational work is being kind to yourself, and then you automatically can give what you want to others with authentically. So I'm conscious of that behavior every single day, and that's what I do.
Well, I'm going to talk about how I celebrate every day.
Go for it. I want to learn.
Celebrate
I
every
want to
day
learn from you.
by being an ambassador with National Day Calendar. So you go to nationaldaycalendar.com. You could actually sign up for the newsletter. You'll get a notice 24 hours before. So it's so important. So today is the 25th, right? So
Uh-huh.
Hire a Veteran Day, Hot
Oh,
Sunday Day, Wine and Cheese Day. And then tomorrow, All or Nothing Day, Aunt and Uncle's Day, Bagel Fest Day, Coffee Milkshake Day, Parents' Day, and Disability Independence Day. So important. If you follow this podcast, Growing Your Business through Referrals, or even my Travel One Bucket List Coach web show, and you share this interview, you'll be in the winning. And I'm going to pick the winner on the 15th of next month. And just live every single day. Quit existing. Think of things that you've always wanted to do, because at the end of the day, we don't know if there's going to be another day. Treat people with kindness. Think of 5 people every single day to show love and gratitude. And mark your calendar for November. It's National Gratitude Month. But just find ways to build people up on social media. If you don't like someone's post, keep on scrolling. Don't post in somebody's post, not unless it's positive. And let's make the world a better place.
That's great, Cindy. It's really easy, especially in today's social media world, to just diss somebody and you don't even know the person. Um, and I really like your ideas about sharing kindness. You can just text somebody and just say, "Hi, I'm thinking of you." "Hi, I'm thinking of you" is
Mm-hmm.
enough. We don't need this big long dissertation. I know a lot of people will not do anything unless it's big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
Something
smallest things.
small. Walking down the street and smile at a stranger. That is just the easiest thing to do, and you lift up their day and how they change when you just smile at them. And maybe you're the only person who smiled at them that entire day. It takes nothing. Most things of kindness take no cost.
Well, I'm going to do a shout out. I got my friend Doug on the podcast, and we know each other because we're big aviation geeks and we love Top Gun. So I'm doing a National Wellness Month event with one of my closest girls. I leave on the first, and on the way to Miami, I have a 8 hour layover in Houston. So it's myself, him, one of my Navy veterans who served in Vietnam, and a lot of Facebook friends. And so things like that. Take your camera with you because you want to share those moments. But think of friends of yours locally, or even not locally when you're going to visit their city, and create those memories in person. Because Facebook is great, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that. But get those relationships off social media and meet in person. Like here, we live really close to the water. We could go dolphin excursion, we could rent a Duffy. We can go to SeaWorld, go to LA, and we can go to Alvera Street. There's so many different things to do. So make sure that you show love and kindness. And if you don't have anything nice to say, just zip it.
Just a bit. Yeah,
'Cause kindness is the best thing you can do. And you know what? It's free. It doesn't cost you a dime.
that's right. It's always free.
All right. So at the end of the show, we always talk about shout outs. Who would you like to shout out today?
Me? Oh, gosh. Shout out to my brother who was um, instrumental in my escape. I wouldn't be here if it was not him. All my friends who have supported me, my coaches, you, you. Cindy and I have been friends for years, and she's talk about kindness. She's the epitome of giving, and really walks her talk. So I appreciate you so much. And all my coaches and the work that I'm doing. Um, Again, we, I'm not here because of one person or whatever. I'm here because of literally hundreds of people who have supported me in some shape or form over the years, probably thousands if I really start adding up the number.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful to everybody who has just said yes and become my friend, or yes to the mission, or yes to whatever, or just say I can't now. And I tell them I can't now either, but we're still friends, right? It's not like the end of the world. There's so many people. But
Oh, I want to do a shout
to
out to
daughter,
you because
my
I
daughter.
can't believe that we both live in Southern California. I became an ambassador and a founder of a national holiday, and I didn't know until just 2, 3 years ago that you
Yeah.
just had this holiday. And my 61st year round of sun is on Wednesday, guys. So it's National Lasagna Day and National Chicken Wings Day. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be in Catalina for my birthday. So I'm gonna find a random person, either get them a drink or order some chicken wings for them. So it's important to do that. And if you use Grubhub or any of those food apps, go to nationaldaycalendar.com, think of a foodie holiday, and send somebody a meal right to their house. You could even send them groceries. I've done that with my friend Kimberly Tulis out of LA. Uh, about 6, 8 months ago, I said, "Hey, I want to do something special for you today." She goes, "Well, I'm in the middle of cooking this recipe. I need this, that, and the other for the recipe. Instead of getting me tacos, can you do that?" I'm like, "Sure." So I sent her groceries. So just little things like that, and because at the end of the day, we don't know if we're going to wake up. So be grateful and don't worry, don't fret about the bad things that are happening to you. Focus on the positive. So super crucial. Anything else you would like to give? Any networking tips or anything about life? How people can be better to others? And we'll close out.
Well, I usually one of the things I usually end with is you deserve to be treated with kindness, and it starts by first being kind to yourself. And when you keep that, not thinking that is selfish, but that is how you nourish yourself so you can nourish others. And that just has that as sort of a guiding light to follow. You will, it will naturally come to you when you're feeling good and energized to just share that positive energy. And that's how it grows.
And your website, and we'll close.
Website is theloveiskindnetwork.com. And I did put a link there, if you are ready to move forward, and I'll offer a free mini kind love coaching call with me, and I put the link in there, and we can we can see how if it's a good fit and that's what you want to do.
Okay, and then we're going to close out in just 1 second. And one thing I want to talk about real quick, in just like 30 seconds, is if you're a parent, really super important to teach your children about boundaries because kids can start that narcissistic trait behavior at a young age, 10, 12, 13 years old. So important to teach your children to pay it forward in the community, like doing a beach cleanup or city cleanup. Coming up in April is some great holidays where you could celebrate National Earth Day and get out together, or you can go to Mexico or Thailand and visit an orphanage and teach your kids of the value of pay it forward.
Right. Giving.
Yeah.
Giving without expecting anything in return. Because the when you give like that, your heart just expands. It's so I highly recommend that. I used to volunteer for the St. Jude's Children's Hospital
Oh wow.
as one of
I
the
want to
things.
go visit them, but they're closed for visiting now since I think at the beginning of COVID. They're still not taking visitations,
Mm.
but when that opens up, I'll definitely let you know. And so this is Cindy and Rosie, and we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend and make sure to celebrate every day.
All